iHeart. We're here with Kold of iHeart Radio right here on Game Changers TV. And Kold is a local media out here in Brunswick, Georgia. Tell us, Mr. Kold, what is your role in the community and how does you serve in that capacity?
Man, I've been doing radio in Brunswick for about going on 10 years now, and I just love getting the information out. You know, that's really what I take as my role in the community of Brunswick. I got family here. My family originally from St. Simon's Island, family from Sapelo Island, and Harris Neck, Georgia. So I'm ingrained in the area, even though I didn't grow up out of here. I moved out here probably about 2005. I was 17, 18 years old, and moved to Fernandina Beach, Florida, but started frequenting Brunswick a lot. My grandma's house right on Martin Luther King. And so I've been in the community, in it, you know, before I was born in it. But once I touched down and I got a hold of everything, really just connecting with the people, man, and getting information to the people, talking to people on their level, understanding where they come from, and making sure I represent them and tell them the things that matter to them.
Man, how did you get started in the media business and just launch all the way to iHeart Radio? That's big, man. Tell us how that happened.
Well, funny story is, I guess I'll tell this story. I was doing music. I used to be a rapper, and I had like 3 or 4 albums or whatever, and I was trying to get my music on the radio. So I was like, man, how do I get my music on the radio? I figured, well, if I work for the radio station, I get my music on the radio. So I started going to the radio station in Jacksonville. I'd be running down to 933, and I'd be running to Savannah, all over, just, you know, filling out applications and sending stuff in. Well, I did that for about 4 years straight. And one time I particularly put my, like I said, I was going to all the radio stations from Savannah to Jacksonville. One time I put my application in the one over here in Brunswick back when they were Quantum Communications, before they were iHeart. And I went up there, did everything I needed to have, and I didn't know exactly what I needed to become a radio host. I know I just wanted to work there, so I went up there, filled out the application, and after all the times I filled out an application, this was in 2012, this was the first time that they told me something else after handing the paper. So I handed them the paper, they said, hey, you need to have a sound check. And I'm like, damn, I don't know what a sound check is. So I go home, I call my homeboy from Cali, my big homie Jay Shark, and I was like, hey man, what's a sound check? Da, 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 da. He said, oh man, all you gotta do is do this, da, 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 da. So I go back, give him a CD with my sound check, and a week or 2 pass, I keep calling them, and I'm trying to call them, and tell them, hey, what's going on with my application, da, 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 da. I don't get any answer. The guy down there, Scott Reifin, who's the operations manager over iHeart Brunswick, he was doing the event out somewhere. I don't know if it was, it might have been at Selden, and they was doing a giveaway to the seniors. My grandma, God rest her soul, she just passed 2 months ago, Miss Tommy Mae Latney, goes up there and she says, hey, my grandson trying to work at your radio station. And she was like, yeah, be looking out for him, da 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 da. And I swear, the guy, honest to God, Scott had told me like 5 years ago, I didn't even know. He said, hey, you know I hired you because your grandma came up here and told me that was your application. He was like, I met your grandma, she was sweet, and I said, whoever's grandma this is, I'm gonna hire them. So that's honest, the honest to God truth, my grandma got me that job. Yeah. Miss Tommy Mae Latney, St. Simon's own, straight up.
Awesome, man. That's an awesome and phenomenal story, man. Tell us, what does it mean for you to serve as the voice of the community and the responsibility that comes behind that?
Man, it's kind of different because I don't look at myself as like I'm speaking for everybody, but I do like to say those things that we say in private amongst each other, and kind of express that mindset of kind of like underground thinking, because now we're in a different era. Everybody's into the internet, so everybody kind of agrees with what the internet is saying. But I don't come from that era. I come from the barbershop era. I come from grandma, your uncle's talking crazy, you're talking to your partners at the store, and people saying real stuff. So I like to say those real ideas and thoughts and put them out there, you know?
Totally amazing, man, totally amazing. Now, we're here at Game Changers Media Network, and we're serving in the community in a capacity of where one of our first programs that we're partnering with is Guns Down, Life Matters initiative.
Right.
According to the state of Georgia, Brunswick is one of the major cities that where gun violence and gang activity happens. Give us a better perspective on that with you being here in the center of that.
In the center of it? I don't know, you know, because I feel like I grew up in San Diego, California, you know, for like up until I was about 17, 18. I grew up in Paradise Hills, Skyline Park. A lot of people on the other side, they'll know that's a gang neighborhood, Skyline Park, Piru, in Southeast San Diego. And a number of other, you know, things. So I'm familiar with the gang stuff and going to school, dealing with the pressures of it, this, that, and that, and that. I don't, to me, it almost amazes me that this thing is worldwide. It's like, man, how these guys doing this over here and they got everybody copying them? But I think I look at it as a misguided misuse of power in a movement. You know, I feel like anytime anybody has the power to take 3 or 4 or 5 people and get them to follow the message or do what they want to do, you know, there's power in that. And so with the gangs and the youth and the people who are leaders, the guys coming up on the street who got other guys doing what they want, we have to focus on who those people are, recognize them as leaders, and then find out how we can talk to them and teach them better so they can lead better to who they have influence over. Because one thing you find out is with influence, you know, we don't give it. It just kind of happens. There's certain people, two people can go to the ice cream truck tomorrow, and people gonna fool with who they want. If they like Johnny ice cream truck better than they like the other ice cream truck, that's the one they're gonna deal with. So you can't change the influence, but you can change the influencer. So that's the thing. If we focus on getting these guys who leading gang members, and they can cry like, hey, if they can get everybody down the street, if a dude could stand out on the corner and get 20 dudes to stand out on the corner with him, he got some power, whether you don't like him or not. So we need to respect him, talk to him, and see what's going on in his mind, so we can move the rest, so we can get the rest of the minds to follow behind whatever a real plan is. So that's how I think of it. I think in the mindset of, if we keep looking in our community as, hey, these are bad guys, we don't fool with them, we're separated from them, then we're not gonna fix anything. But if somebody can stop, if there's somebody that can stop and say, hey man, you a bad dude, you got influence, man. I see you running around here, you got 30 dudes with you, but you know what you should be doing? If you can get 30 black men to follow you, this is what you need to be doing. That changes, you know, the issue that you were facing. So it's like with these guys, no matter if you respect them, if you don't like them, you don't care who they are, it doesn't matter. They're gonna have influence. God gives influence. I believe it. God gives influence. But you can change the influencer, and that's what we need to work on from the early age. Little dude coming up, you can see a guy about this small. My mom does daycare down the street. I know little dudes who like 2 years old walk around. I'm like, oh man, that dude gonna be the man with. So why, as an adult, my thing is to pour into him and say, hey man, you know you could do this and da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey man, hey, you thinking about school? You ready to go to college? Da-da-da-da-da. Start that early. Instead of you trying to make him you. You can't make him you. He got the influence. He got everything going. He already seen as a bad dude. Let him have that. But just put that seed in. Stop trying to make people be you and focus on planting the seed. The seed gonna do what it is. Once it's in the ground, it's gonna go, but you gotta get it there. And a lot of times you can't plant the seed because you're so busy trying to shut down the person who has the power and influence, you know? So.
How has gun violence and gang activity personally affected your life?
Oh man, I done grew up, it's some guys, man, I love dearly who have passed, you know, just different guys. I really don't like to say their name, but, you know, it's just different people. One of the biggest things that probably messed me up in moving was one of my friends I had lost, I went to high school with. He actually lost his life to gang violence probably a year after I left. And it's just one of those things is, you know, we have to learn that cutting each other's life down short, we're not just killing somebody else, we're killing ourselves. You know, the only reason we're flourishing is because we have numbers. That's one thing that helps our community is the continued numbers, the continued babies being born, the continued new life. We have to value that number and that creation of life, because we don't get beat out. When it comes to multiplying and making kids, we don't get beat out. We get beat out in a lot of other stuff, but not that. So the thing is, we have the production. We're bringing in the change. We're bringing in the people that are going to cure AIDS. We're bringing in the people that are going to become brain surgeons and doctors and lawyers and all that stuff. But are we giving them a chance to be something? Are we giving them a chance to live it out. So how many people have been cut down before they get to live their dream? You know, that's my main thing. It's just the cutting down of people who can solve problems and making this place a better place. That's how it affects me. That's how I personally feel.
Awesome, man. Your story is amazing, man. I mean, you've basically traveled across the world all of your life. You have a passion for music.
Right.
Of course, you started music, that pushed you into the radio. How does music play an impact on the influence of young children? And what dynamics can we change in the game to turn that scenario around?
Ooh, man, that's kind of crazy. I'll tell a funny story. My daughter, her birthday is February 2nd, so she always got a birthday like around the Super Bowl or whatever. And so this particular year, she was only 1 year old, and 49ers was playing the Baltimore Ravens. That's my favorite football team, 49ers. And we're sitting up, it's halftime, Beyonce's up on stage, and Beyonce comes out and says, hey, put your hand towards the TV and give me some of your energy. I need your energy while I'm performing. Man, my daughter too, she don't like nothing, she don't talk, she whatever. She's sitting in my lap and she takes her hand and puts her hand towards the TV. And I'm like, girl, you like Beyonce like that? I mean, she literally can't talk or nothing, but she puts her hand towards the TV. That's like the power level that music has, the influence that they have over children. I've seen that early. I never even listened to Beyonce around my daughter, and she was towards the TV. So there is a level of influence, like I was talking about earlier. Beyonce's influence, you can't kill it. It's already there. I can't tell my daughter, oh, don't fool with Beyonce. She already was there. But if the influence is directed the right way, would you see Beyonce, a businesswoman, this, that, and that, it's a good influence. So just like if the influence is there and it's an artist who's promoting stuff that's kind of like shady or bad or, you know, just off color topics, then if the influence is still there, you know, it's still there. So kids are taking in all this information, they're hearing things all the time, and ultimately music gets them the message the best because it sounds good, you know?
Wow. Community partners in this community, what can the community do working together in the essence of music, connecting music to gun violence and gang activity? What can the community do together to bring this energy and make that energy work to reflect the community and the positive reflection that it needs to be reflected?
You gotta start with the kids, man. You can't change, you know, what's in somebody, you know, what's put in somebody or what's made. So if we start with the influence, say we're teaching kids at the same time we're teaching them how to use studio equipment, we're teaching them how to read music, how to use instruments, getting them places where they can go record their songs and do their music, and at the same time teaching them their history, teaching them who they are, teaching them what they should be doing in the next level of life, or to focus on where they want to go. You know, it puts it together and makes a melting pot for a better situation. And I feel like the guys who are giving kids an opportunity in music or doing things, they kind of don't have the message that's positive, but they do have the influence, and they have what would I say, the likability or credibility or just the people skills to be able to continue to teach and keep it going. So they only gonna learn negative if only negative, but only outreach, saying that if a classical music artist ain't stepping out and reaching out to a kid and talking to him, how they gonna see anything different if only the rapper, the gangster rapper, at least he reaching out to him and talking to him. So that's the influence with it. They can like all of it, but what are they tapped into the most? So they're tapped into the lower level and just the street music because these are the people that are accessible to them. They speak the language, you know?
Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah, right.
Gunned down.
Right.
In the middle of the street.
Right.
Satilla Shores.
Right.
The moment you heard that story, what did that make you feel like?
So I'll tell you something even crazy. All right, so Ahmaud Arbery, with the case going on, our radio station actually released it on our website, the actual video. I'll tell you what happened. So Scott Ryfin, who was our operations manager in iHeart Brunswick, he was like, hey man, I'm getting ready to get this video up here of Ahmaud Arbery, the guy, whoever the what are they, the suspects or the people on trial.
The McMichaels.
The McMichaels.
The McMichaels.
They're actually wanting to clear their name, and they think this video is going to clear their name. I was like, okay, so I wonder what this video. I didn't know if the video had them on there fighting them or breaking in a house or what. But I was like, okay, I'll wait and see the video. But I was already bothered by the story. I was bothered, and it had been months. It had been people in Brunswick for months talking about the story. So I'm seeing it on my timeline. I'm seeing different things. I even seen the paper talking about it. So I kind of already had a nasty feeling about it, but I said, oh, they're going to bring the video up here. It must be some good footage. It must be something that's telling a different story, And so I'm walking in and out the hallway in the radio station, and the guy comes up to the door, George, I believe his first name George, the father.
Wow.
George McMichael hands me the flash drive with the video on it. Now when I tell you the look on his face, when he sees it's me, a black man, he was looking at me like, but he still handed it to me. And I wasn't tripping. I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead, let me get the video. I ain't even gonna act funny with him. I ain't look at him crazy or nothing because I knew that was important, And so I was like, let me get the video. I don't look at the video. I give it to Scott. Scott goes in there, he looks at it, he has it for a day. He come back and he shows me the video. And I'm like, oh man, I said, bro, you got to put this out. And that's how I talk to Scott. I'm like, bro, you got to put this out, bro. You got to go ahead and put it out. And he was like, man, I don't know, but he really did. He did that on his own account, put it out, and it just amazed me. The thing that bothered me the most and how I knew it was foul was because the fact that George McMichaels or Michaels, he actually thought in his mind that video cleared him. So that's, he was bringing it to clear his name like, hey, if you see this video, you'll know that we weren't wrong. So the thing is, you thinking, man, there are people that I walk amongst every day that are that messed up in the head that think that is right. We got to do something about that. And, I don't know if we can do something about it, but the fact that his own logic told him that them chasing Ahmaud down in the neighborhood, hunter style, and kind of pitting him in the corner. The fact that they thought that cleared them, it blew my mind. Like, it's like, I know some racist people, but that was like next level. It was next level. But he thought it was going to do it good, but it just kind of blew up in his face.
Wait, I'm absolutely blown away by what you just told me. I mean, by God, we're here on an interview with what you do for iHeart Radio. Right. We know you serve as a pulse to the community. We know you connect with the community. But I did not think we were going to find out this information that George McMichael actually handed you the video.
He gave it to me, bro. And I called my wife. She's my wife now. I called my girl. I was like, what, man? I said, I just looked the dude in his eye. And I said, I seen the video. I said, he done. I said, they done. That's why after that, I had let it go. So when we released it, soon as we released it, it was over. It was all over everywhere. And it took one of the most gruesome videos for everybody to see for it to actually get legs and for them to act like they going down there and arresting the McMichaels, for them to act like, hey, whoa, we're focusing on this, for the GBI to be head first in on it. It took the most gruesome, ugly, nasty, vicious type video for that to go forward. But that's how it works sometimes in God's fullness of plans. Even the ugliest of things, sometimes it takes that to solve a whole number of issues afterwards. So I think with the Ahmaud Arbery situation, it opened up like this whole box, Pandora's box in Brunswick, to where whatever racism or whatever issues, especially the economic issues we have in the city of Brunswick, or whatever problems we're facing, now everybody's like, you know what, let's talk about it. Forget it, let's lay it on the table. And so I'm all for that. So the fact that Ahmaud had to go out like that for it to affect Brunswick the way it affected, and not just Brunswick, really the whole world, man. The whole world. That, like, people talk about Breonna Taylor and people talk about George Floyd, but it really wasn't George Floyd that was the turning point. The Ahmaud Arbery video was the turning point, because I seen so many people, man. I seen all types of people, all types of walks of life, all type of conservatives, liberals, no matter who they was. I seen people like, nah, this ain't right. white folks, black folks, Asian folks. Some people was like, nah, this ain't right. And so it accomplished that. And I think that was what sparked off everything that happened in 2020. So it accomplishing that, I mean, it's him losing his life in that fashion and what he represents and means to us is just more, it's crazy anyway. And Ahmaud Arbery, that's family, man. That's Sapelo Island family, so gotta show him some love, for sure.
The community looks as, when they approach gang and gun violence, they look at one particular sector as gangster disciples, Crips, Bloods, Vice Lords. But the Big Michaels and the third guy, I don't know his name. I can't really call his name.
Roddy Bryan or something. Roddy.
Yeah, it was one of those guys. You know, they operated as a gang.
Right. Definitely.
Give us your perspective of how they operated as a gang versus a typical stereotype gang of a Vice Lord or a gangster disciple or a Crip or a Blood, because this was gang activity in its finest. Right. What does that look like to you?
It's kind of different because it's a situation on, you know, even though I'm not like somebody who condones gang violence or even pushes gangs, like I don't believe in any type of black elitist group. You know, I put them all together, where there's GDs, gangster disciples, fraternities, everything. I feel like black elitist groups, we don't have room for them in the community because it separates us even more than we've already been separated. So with the gangs, you know, they're not the only one. There's a bunch of other groups that separate us and make us bicker with each other and not focus on coming together. It's not just the gangs on the street. There's organizations that got LLCs to do it too. But thinking on how the McMichaels did it and how they operated, they were operating at a place of where you don't belong here, you're not supposed to have it, this is ours. And whatever frustration was, you know, coming from 2020 with the, you know, with maybe Trump getting ready to get out of office and all that stuff, maybe all that plays into it. But it is different in a situation to where you have people outside looking in who feel like they don't care, like feeling like a particular person is nothing. Because I'm pretty sure the McMichaels felt like Ahmaud Arbery was nothing and no repercussions were going to come and they just got to kill a black person. In that sense, in that light, gangs and the McMichaels are the same, because I feel like that's what makes the hyper-violence is the lack of repercussions for killing black men and opposing black men. You know, I often talk about it with people growing up. I talk to people about it all the time. I talk to people who are white or Asian or Latino, and they say, oh, well, what's this and this and this going on? Or why is this going on with black people? Or why are black men like that? I said, well, you know, I just see the difference in the raisings in the communities. One thing people have to understand about black men is we're just raised in kind of like hyper-masculine, hyper-violent atmosphere to where you're always approached with violence, you know. So the quickest way to solve a problem if you're raised in this environment is violence. You know, that's where we go. We'll fight, we'll do this and that. I don't see other groups of people getting down like that. You know, most of the time, you know, they'll do something final like what the McMichaels did. They go out and do something that's going to be final, and it's not going to be anything, you know, else behind it. And we'll fight over something little, like somebody stepping on your shoe. We'll fight and we'll be good. So in the way that we operate, violence is kind of embedded in the way that we operate, where it's not really embedded in the way that they operate. You don't see them doing things like that amongst themselves. They only use it, you know, violence as this is a finality. This is when it's out of control. You know, this is when you see, I want to say, white men pulling out a gun, it's like a final thing. This is like a last resort. You know, for us, it's different. You know, it's an everyday thing. You might go to the store. We live different. You might go to the store as a brother. You can go to the store and you might get into it with somebody and you go sit in your car. And I've seen it over and over. Whether you got a licensed gun or not, you might have to go and put it out and sit down and get in the car and go about your day. Other people don't live like that every day. There have been points in my life where I had to live like that, to where I had to respond to almost going to the corner store. It's like going to a war zone, you know? So it's just different in us living in such a hyper violent community. But at the same time, when you see them doing something, there's a plan behind it. It's strategic. They're not just being violent, you know?
Wow. October 2nd, 2021, 12 p.m., 5 p.m. Guns Down, Life Matters. Special tribute to Ahmaud Arbery. Can you give us a shout out? Give us a shout out who you are, representing the city of Brunswick. Give us a shout out and a blast for that event so we can push this event and connect together. iHeart Radio Game Changers Media Network. Can you give us a blast and encourage people to come out for that?
All right, what's up? It's your boy Cali Kold, afternoon host on Savannah's #1 for R&B and old school, Love 101.1, midday host for Brunswick's Inspiration Station, Hallelujah 963, and afternoon host for 103Q. Make sure you come on out October 2nd. Guns down. We're putting the guns down for Game Changers, and we're going to make sure we impart some peace, some love, some understanding, and most importantly, some hope into the next generation with this event. So let's make it happen.
Awesome. Last but not least, give us a shout out of how we can find you. Follow you on social media. Stay in tune because you are key and pivotal to this whole process. Just off this interview alone, how can the people follow you online and stay in tune with what you're doing?
Man, I appreciate that, man. First of all, I want to thank Game Changers for the interview, man. Really something special. But get at me. I'm on Instagram at Cali Kold, KLIKOLD. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff, KLIKOLD. And you can email me at calikold@iheartmedia.com.
Awesome. We appreciate you for coming out, taking the time, sharing this awesome opportunity with us. From Game Changers TV to iHeart Radio, Cali Kold, we appreciate you.
All right, much love, much love.
Awesome.